Hey everybody, welcome to the Basis Points Podcast. I'm Kevin Flanagan, head of fixed income strategy at Wisdom Tree Asset Management. Flying blind in the shutdown. That is certainly a hot topic as we go to press and to speak to you here on this podcast. And as the money and bond markets enter the second calendar week of the federal government shutdown, I thought it would be a good idea to offer some insights and perhaps answer some of the questions we've been fielding over the last few days. And while it doesn't seem as if an end is in immediate sight for the shutdown, as we've seen so far this year, developments and headlines can change quickly. So let's break it down into some sections here and give you some key takeaways. First, the facts. Facts are always very important, right? The House of Representatives has already passed a stopgap bill that the Senate has thus far not been able to pass as well, hence the shutdown. At this point, the Senate may keep trying to pass this stopgap bill to potentially end the shutdown, or a new round of negotiations between Republicans and Democrats will need to occur at some point. Now, if an agreement is reached, both houses of Congress would, once again, need to vote on the measure to send it to the president's desk. And as I'm talking to you today, no announcements have been made or numbers involved, but appears as if the Trump administration could attempt to make some of the furloughed federal government workers into permanent layoffs. Now, for me, this could be one of the most important aspects of this shutdown. No debt ceiling. Perhaps the most noteworthy difference between this one and ones we've seen in recent past is that there is no debt ceiling aspect to the current situation. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act already increased the debt ceiling by $5 trillion to $41 trillion. And this increased amount should keep the debt ceiling as a non-issue for at least the next year or two. So as a result, U.S. Treasury market will be operating as usual, with no concerns of redemptions, coupon payments, or new issuance to be considered. What about the economic data? Well, releases from the major federal agencies, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Bureau of Economic Analysis, Census Bureau, will be either delayed or postponed altogether, as we just saw with the September Employment Situation Report not being released at its scheduled time and date. Now, if the shutdown continues throughout the weeks ahead, that would mean economic indicators such as CPI, retail sales, GDP, PCE, you get the gist, would more than likely not be released either. Now, what about alternative private data sources? And although official public data releases may be impacted, private sources of data are still available. And let me give you just a few of them out there. The ISM and S&P Global PMI Manufacturing and Service Indexes, the Johnson Red Book weekly same-store sales, that represents about 9,000 general merchandise retailers. Ward's Automotive Report provides monthly motor vehicle sales. ADP and Challenger provide employment-related data. How about Fed and rates? Well, despite the shutdown, the bar was high for the Fed not to cut rates at this month's FOMC meeting. And for the Treasury market, that remains the expectation. Chairman Powell's description of the September rate cut as a risk management move also favors another 25 basis point reduction in Fed funds. Now, the Federal Open Market Committee can also rely on the regional bank system for anecdotal reports, such as what they use for the Beige Book. And for the Treasury 10-year yield, I'm thinking it's going to stay range-bound until the econ data starts flowing again. So a bottom line, typically when disruptions such as a shutdown occur, there can be some economic impact from a short-term perspective. However, any adverse effects tend to get reversed in the following weeks, months, calendar quarter. And one difference to watch, though, this time around surrounds that potential for the aforementioned federal worker layoffs. But as I'm talking to you today, it's really difficult to draw any meaningful conclusions from an economic standpoint. Final thought. Once the shutdown does end, and depending on how long it was, get ready for a plethora of economic data to be released. All right, I'm going to end it there. Have a great rest of the week, everybody, and be well.